known in real life as the Jackie Jones. See the lead right there? Y'all see that? Right, if y'all want buttons, that's what that's there for. If you follow, we're giving you buttons for Elevation Academy in 1 degree. So at any point, follow, get a button from Megan. Everybody give Megan a hand. Like, who is Megan? Why are we clapping for her? She is wonderful. That's what she is. All right, so I'm going to keep introductions short because I have a lot I want to cover. Let me share this on Facebook real fast because I told a bunch of people I would. So stand by for that. This is the kind of person I am. Y'all will be used to it. I'll start a watch party. I've never done that. Boom. Do I have to be in the watch party? Okay, anyway. So, I know, right? I'm supposed to know the answer to this. All right, so who am I? This is the serious stuff. I do coaching and all that stuff. This is the stuff that actually I have to do, whether anybody gives me money or not. So I am a mother and a wife and a dog mom and a Target regular and a Starbucks addict. So if you would like to make any donations, you can do it at Target and Starbucks card.
Nuh-uh.
Yes! You just passed it on up. Put it in the collection plate. That she's like serious. Did you just randomly have a Starbucks card? No, I bought this for you. Probably because I say this in every person.
She does such a good job of educating the community, so I just want to say thank you.
I'm not going to cry because I'm a thug. Stop. I'm a real thug and OG, and I'm not going to cry. Now, when I get in the car, man, it's on. All right. Thank you so much. Isn't it so wonderful? Okay, deep breath. That was not in my presentation. Okay, later, girl. All right, so 1 Degree is the firm that I own. Here are the things that we do. That's where you find Megan, right there. Megan does, see, I knew I would be in the way. You don't see?
Sorry.
Can you see?
I'm good.
Okay. All right, so Megan does events with us, which is why she is here. Brittany is our administrative person. Derek does our design, so your lovely buttons. And Donald is our web developer. So those are the things we do. Elevation Academy is basically built for people to do things themselves, which is kind of why we're here. So I have zero problem telling people how to do what I do. None whatsoever. For a lot of reasons. We don't always have the budget to be giving other people money. 1, everybody's like, exactly why I'm here. And 2, sometimes you just really understand the value better when you understand what it does, right? So there's a bunch of courses, and we'll talk about that later. So today's goals, 3 things that we need to accomplish. We need to manage some assumptions about Instagram and the things. We need to address some myths, especially since so many things change in life about social media. And we need to create a process, right? Simple enough. That's me in the background. Not really, but that's how I often feel. So let's start with my assumptions. I assumed that you at least know, and today, I assume you at least know your brand, right? You know who you are, you know what colors you like. Like, I'm not going to get into the marketing one-on-one side. So that's an assumption I'm making, all right? Second is, you know already that your audience is actually on Instagram. So I'm assuming you already know it. Third, I'm just assuming you have an Instagram account. That's just, I want to put that out there in case anybody's like, I plan to start today. So do that now, because I assume you did. Your assumptions. You may assume that I have an easy way to do this. I do not. I'm sorry. If you leave now, no one will judge you. Effective does not always mean easy. And so this is going to be about creating processes that are repeatable, but that will stand the test of algorithms. They change, they go up and down. We're not going to delve into how you beat the algorithm. If you're authentic, you shouldn't have that problem. So we're going to focus more on the core than the trimmings, right? I love this gift, by the way. Myths. All right. Let's kill a few things real quick. Myth number 1. All I need to do is post pictures and say link in bio. No people actually think this, I promise. That is not true. When you think about the strategy of your Instagram, you have to figure where it falls in the path for your audience. Is it the beginning? So when you say link in bio, are they starting down a funnel or going to a site, or is it the end? Did you follow me and now they end up at Instagram, where are they in the process? And you want to make sure you keep that in mind when you think about what types of content you want to have. So you don't want a person who already knows your brand really well, they follow it for information, but you never give them any because you assume they just became aware of you, which is not the case. So always think about, and it may be a mix of things, always think about where is my audience when they arrive at my profile. That make sense? Perfect. Myth number 2, I need to use all 30 hashtags, right? No, not quite. Now, if you can think of 30 relevant hashtags, not relevant to your business, to that post, go for it. If you have that kind of time. If you cannot, do not force it. Only use what's relevant. One thing that we learned in 2019 with Instagram/Facebook now is that they could care less about your efforts to spam. They have cut down a whole lot on giving these hashtags a lot of love and energy. Now, I stopped using hashtags on my personal account. I've got more likes on my personal account than I ever had. 0 hashtags. Because they recognize that my friends just want to see me. Okay, so don't get caught up in, I got 30 hashtags to use, I need to use all of them. No, you do not. Okay? Questions about that? Because I know somebody told you to do it.
I have a question about hashtags. It might be relevant to
Yeah, go for it.
But I don't want to see a whole bunch of hashtags on someone else's post.
Yeah.
And so sometimes when I do put hashtags in our organizations, I'll do it in the comments.
That's fine.
Is it?
That's fine. Now, if you're using like a scheduler, like later, you can always go a bunch of periods down.
Right.
And then the see more will cut it off. But comments is fine.
Okay.
They're going to pick up regardless. Myth number 3, I need a perfect visual aesthetic and professional pictures to be effective. No, don't do that. Don't paralyze yourself by thinking my pictures are not enough. That's a very paralyzing way to think about your Instagram. Now, would I love for all of my pictures to be professional? Yes. But the way my bank account is set up, I cannot afford to have a professional photographer in every little thing. So, if you have to become the world's best iPhone photographer, practice, get it the way you want to, stage things the way you want to, do what you can with what you have. Do not get caught up on the pictures aren't perfect. And with a perfect visual aesthetic, if you have the kind of audience that cares about a perfect aesthetic, then fine. If you do not, don't worry about it. If it's not all with a pink filter, do not stress yourself out, okay? Let's get that off our plate, all right? Myth number 4, I don't know how to use all the features, so I'll just not. Wrong. I know that Instagram has a bunch of randomness to it. It does. A bunch of things in stories, all these different things, but they're all very useful. We're gonna do something. All right, so if you're following Elevation Academy, which I know you all are, right?
Because we have our buttons.
We're about to take a selfie. Y'all ready? Oh gosh.
Well, that's all right.
Okay, we're about to take a boomerang. I changed my mind. Okay, just be smiling when I move it. Ready? Okay, so I am going to quick questions, and I'm going to say, tell me what you learned today at the Lunch and Learn. And since you all are newly following, you're going to see yourself on there, you're going to respond, and I'm going to just repost everything. There's so many different things you can do on Instagram to engage people. They're not always the cutest, most professional little thing. Use it anyway, because then you look like a real person. One, because you are a real person, I think. That would be weird. But it gives you the opportunity to be doing what they're doing. They don't want to go to a stuffy place. It's Instagram. It's not, a networking event with business suits. It's still Instagram. I don't care how beautiful it looks. It's still Instagram. It's still made for regular people every day. So get on there, play around with all the little stuff. When it's like a new thing, just try it out. If it bombs, there is a delete option. Delete it. Move on with your life. All right? Now, do make sure you go and answer that question if y'all want to know. All right? Myth number 5. No one's paying attention because they don't like or comment. No. Okay? That's not true. There's a difference between engagement and brand awareness. Question you have to answer for yourself is which one am I after right now? Okay? Sometimes, and people like to call this out on Facebook, people will say, oh, I got all these like reaches and impressions, but nobody liked it. But they saw it though. Does that matter? And if they're seeing it regularly because you're consistent, which you are, right? Lie to me. Okay, everybody's like, oh yeah, then that brand awareness means something. Some people just are not like this. They just don't like stuff. They don't click on stuff, they don't comment. That's just who they are in life. If you walk past them, they probably don't speak either. They're probably rude people. So don't judge them based on the fact that they're not taking an action. If you want to elicit an action from them, you need to ask them to do it. Say, comment your favorite blah, blah, blah. Like this, that is if. That's not cheesy. It's asking, it's a call to action, just like click this button, just like link in bio. Don't be afraid to use that, but don't shoot yourself because no one's liking it or commenting and feel like it's not effective. That's not true. All right? Myth number 6. I'll never be able to do this myself. Raise your hand if you've ever said that. Come on, people, it's like AA meeting. You're amongst friends. That is false. You can absolutely do this yourself. Now, it sounds like I'm talking myself out of money, okay? But you can. Keep this in mind, though. You are going to spend one of two things, time or money. If you're going to spend time, learn what you can learn, do what you can do. If you figure this is not for me, gather your coins, give it to somebody who can. Bottom line. But you can do it, all right? Questions about these myths before I move on, because I know these are the most common things people say about Instagram. Everybody's good?
Hang on, I'll take
For real? For real? I work right there.
Oh, hold on.
All right, so let's just talk about making a process, right? Let's do the work, which matters so much. So one of the first things that we need to do is decide what types of content do we really want on our Instagram. So we talked a little bit about knowing that our audience is there, right? We know they're there. We know a little bit about them. We know what they like, we know what they don't like. We know what turns them off. We know what's popular in our industry because we've been looking at our competitors and they do it so much better than us. Oh my God. We've been doing all of that, right? Now the question is, what kinds of stuff do we want to put out? So let's go through this list. If you're posting things that update on your site regularly, like blogs, always good content because you want to drive them back to the space you can control, which is your website, right? Behind the scenes, if you make a thing, if you put something together, events, whatever, do not just show people the end result. Show them all the stuff that they should be willing to pay for. Like, if you had to sand it down and then paint it, show them that you had the sander out and that you cut your fingernail one time. Like, show them the process. Make them a part of that. Audiences are so invested in knowing what's behind the final product. Do not skip over that. I know we want to be perfect and filter our lives on Instagram. I kind of do that a little bit sometimes. But, I mean, just on Mondays. But give them the process. Show them the behind the scenes. Show them the blooper reel. I think it's down somewhere.
There you go. I did it.
Tutorials and how-tos. If you're like me, I don't do this enough, so you don't have to call me out, I'll do it. You can get on there and just tell people how to do it, right? Step 1, blah, 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 15 seconds. Step 2, blah, 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 blah. You're the expert, right? You know how to do the thing. And it can be something that you're not the expert on. It's just something you'd like to do. If it's a personal brand, then you can do that. Here are 10 ways to tie your shoes that are cuter than regular. Go for it, right? If you're a business, organization, maybe you're just giving information about whatever that thing is that you're in. So let's say you do wildlife endangerment stuff, and you're like, here are 5 different ways that you can love on an organization who supports wildlife or something. And you just give it to them in content, right? That makes sense? Simple. All right. Am I right? Relatable experiences and thought leadership. So this is where you are willing to just be vulnerable. And you say, man, every time I go to Ford, it is freezing on the back hallway. Am I right? That's a real thing. Kim is turning red. I'm sorry.
It has nothing to do with the
Look, maybe we're going to be
foreign
serious
stuff.
later. So don't be afraid to be vulnerable in front of your audience. Instagram is a great platform for that. And if you start to get too much kickback, there's an option, delete. You can always delete it, right? But you want them to feel like they are on the same page with you. Like, yes, oh my God. If you are a leader in thought in that industry or in that space, get on there, be the first to respond to stuff. Treat it like a news outlet. Do it on stories, just in case you don't want to put it on your feed, all right? Trends, user-generated content. If you have people using a hashtag, tagging you in things, repost their stuff. Let other people, so this is two things. One, it makes them want to do it again, because thank you. Second, it makes other people know you're not the only person who thinks you're great. So it's good validation when someone else can say, oh man, I love this so much. Of course you're saying it because you want my money. But if they say it, and then this other person says it, that all your audience don't know, they don't know these two people, but you do. Share that content, get it into your feed, get it into your stories, and let people go, okay, there must be something to this. Okay? That could be the case for personal or business. So if you just want people to say, oh man, she's so pretty, you can repost it if you want to. That's how you get there. I won't judge you. Before and afters. If you are doing things like, I'm picking up a new client in New York who does furniture restoration. And currently on his Instagram, all there is this beautiful furniture. Nobody knows it looked like it came out the Titanic on the bottom of the seafloor before he got it. So it's amazing the difference between, he takes the pictures, he just doesn't post them. And I was like, what now? How can people know how good you are at this if they don't realize it looked like trash like 3 days ago, and now it's in the middle of some huge building in New York because you restored it. And he goes, I never thought about that. It's fine, that's why. I'm gonna send the invoice. And you just send the money. All right? Holidays, do not force holidays. Okay? I know, now if you go to holidayinsights.com, just tell you that real quick, it will list every single day ever known. There's like National Side-Eye Day, there's like National A Friend Across the Street Day, there's like a day for everything. Do not force them. However, if you see that there's something relevant to your business or organization, take note of it. Somebody actually legally made it a day. So somebody cares. Okay? Don't be afraid to do that. Contests and giveaways. I'll move on from that because I try not to do that too much. Cross posts. So if you are a person who's on Twitter a lot, who's on Twitter? Okay, who's on Twitter and they actually tweet? Less hands. Yeah, I thought my hand. Because I'm on Twitter. Notice it was not up here. You did not get a button for tweeting anything because I'm never on Twitter. But if you tweet a thing and it's wonderful, and you want to screenshot that, cut it down, and make it real cute, put it on a cute little background, Instagram. You didn't have to make anything up. You didn't have to do anything extra. You just did a screenshot and you put it on another platform. That's what cross posts are. Okay? Bloopers. Kim and I had some great bloopers the other day because she's silly. Now, amidst all of those things, if you are in business, there are some things that you cannot forget. These are your regulars. So whatever your services are, if you have events, if you have products, when we start talking about the rotation of these things, you do not get to skip things. Okay? Just because there's a holiday on the same day as your sale does not mean you don't get to say, you can skip over saying, hey, here's the sale. You can just say Merry Christmas and hey, here's the sale. But you need to say the thing that your business is doing. Okay? Don't put that on the back burner. Questions at this point?
So you said if you don't do contests and things like that?
I don't personally.
Okay, but there's like no specific reason?
Oh, no, because I hate them. I mean, you want my personal reason? Oh, because I don't want to.
Okay.
And that's just because I don't want to manage who won, spin the wheel, go like this, go do. I don't personally like to do that. However, I do think contests are a great way to collaborate with other brands. Wonderful way to do that. Wonderful way to cross over audiences. Just because I don't like to do it does not mean it's not a good idea. I just don't personally like to. But I'm Any other questions? Commercial break. So, outside of Instagram, if you're trying to work on your entire social media strategy, if you point your phone here to the QR code, you can enroll in our free 7-day social media builder. Did I say it was free? Okay. There you go. Phone is out. There we go. Point them, folks. This won't be the last one. Okay, if you have an iPhone, oh God, Lisa looks lost. If you have an iPhone, all you gotta do is open your camera. If you have an Android, I question if I actually like you. No, seriously, they do have the reader in their camera too. I think it's called Bixby. I don't know. It is Android.
Well, they used to not, the iPhone used to have to have.
You used to have to have a QR code.
And then iPhone got get smart enough.
Everybody got it? Lisa, I will text you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. She's my problem child. All right. Now let's take this a little further and talk about the process. So I spent way too much time putting this together. I started having so much fun with these emojis. Now everybody thinks in Instagram about visual patterns, right? We want it to be all quotes here, all whatever here, and then it's like every other block, right? I want to talk to you about non-visual patterns. Clearly you know how to make a pattern, I'm sure. But in the non-visual aspect, there are a couple reasons why you want to think about non-visual patterns, and then I'll walk you through it. One, you need to eliminate the paralysis. If you already know what your pattern is, you won't sit down and go, now what do I post today? So this is a good way to eliminate it, right? Another good thing is that it makes you being consistent a lot easier. So if we already know what kind of content we decided, step one, what kind of content do we want to do? Step two, we're going to put in a pattern. Now you can be consistently saying services, events, whatever, over and over again because you have a pattern. The third reason is you stop wasting time. Since you do not get a receipt or a refund on time. Use it wisely. Alright? So, here we have my wonderful made-up emoji Instagram feed. Now you can do this for more than 9 blocks if you want, it's up to you. But this is kind of like a page on Instagram. Now what we would want to decide, the money is like services, products, the things that generate money for me, okay? So block 1, block 2, block 3, block 4, block 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Everybody with me? Everybody can count to 9. Okay, well do we know which ones are which one? What's in block 7?
Cowboy.
All right, here we go, because somebody didn't know, so I just want to, all right, so here's what we want to say. I'm going to make my list of 9, so if you have paper and you write 1 through 9 straight down, I'm going to say in block 1, I'm always going to talk about my services. No matter which services. In block 2, I'm going to talk about the things that really make me like really angry about my industry. It's like my rant, because I've decided that I want to do my rants, right? Here, I'm going to talk about things you absolutely did not know about my industry, like mind-blowing, amazing things, right? Then in block 4, I'm going to highlight a team member. They're a star. In block 5, I'm going to ask for money again, because that's why I'm in business. Block 6, I'm going to post something personal. And I chose that emoji because I don't usually tell people my personal business. Block 7, I'm going to put something about how I'm barely holding on and entrepreneurship is a ride, so I'm a cowboy. Okay? Block 8 is going to be my nerd life. Maybe it's just a helpful resource, something of that nature. And block 9 is about the dollars. That makes sense? So once you've decided in that first step of all these different types of content, here are the things I know I want to do, right? You already have an idea. And you've decided I have, and it may just be 3 things, it may be 9 things, it may be 12 things, right? Put them in a row and decide when I sit down to schedule my Instagram, I'll know what number I'm on, I don't have to think about what type of content it is, I can just start scheduling, or I can just start creating content. That makes sense? Any questions about that? Doesn't that sound really easy? Yes.
So I have a question.
Sure.
So I do not do our Instagram. Kelsey does our Instagram
Because she's awesome.
and does a really great job. And she schedules it out. And I will say, can we do a post about this? So how important, and she's, well, we already have a lot of
That's right, Kelsey. Don't you let her tell you what to do.
but no, how important is it to if we wanted to post about your event, like to mess it up?
It doesn't matter because it's up if it's not visual. So if you do have things, because sometimes you'll have things that are in the moment,
Yeah,
right?
that's part of the pattern. That could be part of your pattern.
It could be.
But what's
It could
happening
be
today
events.
is
It could be around your, yeah. And sometimes what I'll do when I'm scheduling for clients is I'll have a slash. So it'll say like upcoming event slash around the office or something. But if maybe I don't have an event coming up, or maybe I just talk about events or something. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't. Now she's mad at you because she already did work. But it doesn't matter to this guy at all. Nobody knows what it is with you, which makes it so much more fun. So you can jack it up and then you'll feel better. Any other questions about that? Yes.
Did you say number 7 was discussing?
Girl, I was making stuff up. I made that up on the spot. So, like literally everything. I know. It was just because of the.
Do it again.
I know. It would be completely different if I did it again. But no, I was just giving ideas of what they could be. I just put these emojis up as they were in the screen on camera. So yeah. I'm really quick on my feet, y'all. That's both good and bad. So just, but you can trust me. I promise I won't lie to you today. All right, so into our process. Now you're like, great, I decided I'm gonna have 9 things, but when should I post them? Like, how often should I post? Okay, so there's levels to this. If you are a pro, maybe you're posting 5+ times a week, right? Boom. If you are advanced, maybe you're posting 3 to 5 times a week. If you just don't want people to come there and realize you haven't posted since Christmas, maybe you're posting 1 to 3 times a week. And there's a 1 in there, so you can't post once a week. Now, the question I get asked about Instagram all the time is, how often should I post? I do not care how often you post. You need to do what you can maintain. Consistency matters way more than how many posts you have going up. For a lot of reasons. 1, algorithms respect consistency. First things first. So if you only post once a week, post once a week. If you cannot maintain 7 posts a week, don't start off like that and fall off, right? Because you get all this engagement and now your audience is expecting something from you that you cannot realistically maintain. And then they don't want to give you money, and that's really why we're here. All right? Now, also...
I have a question.
What?
When you talk about consistency, is it important to be consistent on the same day?
You can.
Or is it just like once a week, twice a week?
Which is a good question because it leads to the next sentence I was about to say. You don't get to decide when people see it. You can post it on every Monday. Instagram is going to decide whether they see it when you post it or Thursday. So, sure, but it doesn't really matter. Just try, but if you're not going to do the same thing, try to say, I will not go more than 10 days between posts. That way you know you fall every week. But it might be, don't go to 14 days, because we don't see it. Right.
Are you going to talk about boosting?
Nope.
Can you, please?
Maybe. Look at me. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see.
Okay.
Any questions about frequency, though? Anybody have any questions about the fact that you don't get to control when people see it? Y'all understand what that means? Have you ever seen a post that said it was a good sale that you've been waiting on, and then it's like it ended Thursday and it's Friday, and you're just seeing the post? That's what we're talking about. So, yes.
I've seen posts on the internet talking about the best time of the day to make a post. So that wouldn't be relevant then.
Bingo! So here's what it's telling you, is that your audience is engaged on the platform during these times of day, right? So likely they're scrolling, and if they run out of stuff, they're gonna keep feeding them, posts and that kind of thing until they've seen everything new. Has anybody ever seen the "You're all caught up" on Instagram? Y'all spend way too much time on Instagram. Just like me.
I don't think they do it anymore.
Oh no, they do. I just did it yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah, it still happens. But if you scroll, I want you to take one Saturday morning. You have a 3-year-old like me, not when they want to eat, and just scroll, try to see all the stuff, and then just keep scrolling. Eventually, it's going to say you're all caught up because you've seen pretty much everything, probably from enough of your people to they're not going to keep showing you all the stuff, right? So again, you can just, it's telling you your audience is usually on here on Wednesdays about 7 o'clock. So if it goes up during this time, they're probably scrolling a lot more. It's more likely they're going to see it, right? It is not a surefire, if you post it here, they're going to get a notification, or none of that's the case. So they're kind of telling you statistics, not necessarily best times to post. That's a little misleading. Any other questions about that?
And I've found it's like almost been disproven that if the content is interesting, it really doesn't matter what
It
time it's
absolutely
posted.
doesn't.
We'll get 11 p.m.
Yeah. It won't matter because again, if you post it at 11 p.m. and if I have an audience who gets up in the morning, goes sits on the toilet, and scrolls Instagram, I know y'all do it. You don't have to just blink twice with you. They're gonna. It might be the first thing they see when they open it. That doesn't mean they were on there at 11 o'clock. Ours just was, but when they open it, there it is, right? So again, you don't get to control that. Now stories, if you want it to be real time, if the timing matters, use stories. Like that's gonna be at the top, people are gonna see it in 24 hours, and then you get to like preserve it forever by putting it in a highlight. Like if you just have to have it up there, use that for your, I need to get this message out right now, real time. Yes, you can put things on your feed that are, time-based, but try to give it like a week, okay? Think I need at least 4 or 5 days, just in case. All right, any other questions about that? About frequency? Scheduling. So I talked a lot about scheduling, right? As a person who, as a firm that offers social media management, I get asked this question a lot. What platforms do you use? What platforms are out there? Here's a list of platforms. Boom. That screenshot is a list. Boom. The number one question is, well, which ones do you use? It's the ones in bold and all caps. See that little shaded line over there? The ones in bold and all caps. Right there. Okay? Those are the two I use every single day of my life. I am not exaggerating. I have 14 Facebook accounts, 8 Instagrams, 4 LinkedIns, 2 Twitters, I hate Twitter, and a partridge in a pear tree. Those are the 2 places I live daily. Right? Questions about any of these? Nobody wants to know why I'm using one and not the other?
Yeah.
Well, what you? Really, people? Do I have to ask myself the question? Is that the question all y'all have?
I think we just trust you.
Yeah, we don't need to know.
I got it later.
I would like to know.
All right. Some people trust me, some don't. So I used to use Hootsuite. Let's start there. Hootsuite, in my opinion, just because I use it regularly, has not evolved very well. So it's a little clunky. In Hootsuite, I have to say what day, what time. I have to tell it what to do. I know that sounds strange, but it'll make more sense in a second. So I started using CoSchedule. CoSchedule is very intuitive. It's going to pull those analytics from the different places. I get to just pick the day, drop the stuff, and it's just going to schedule the time for it. And I don't have to worry about it. If I say, oh, I'm going to do 2 Facebook posts that day, it'll move them to better times. So I don't have to think about that. Hootsuite won't let me do that. Okay? She's like, sure won't. All right? That's why I use CoSchedule. Now, CoSchedule will do Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Twitter, and it has great plugins to like WordPress. So a lot of people I work with blogging, even for myself, there's a plugin to WordPress backends that shows the calendar at the bottom of the post. So I can type the post out and then go below it and say, now on the day that it's scheduled, send all these to these different platforms 3 days after that. So I can kind of create a campaign right there in WordPress. I don't have to know. That's the main reason I use CoSchedule. I use Later for all things Instagram. Though this does Instagram, I use Later for all of my Instagram accounts. Stand by. This is why I use Later. Because I can preview that this is the actual, if you were to, in Elevation Academy right now, this is the actual screenshot from yesterday. I can preview what that looks like. And if you do care about the visual aesthetic, if you do have a pattern, or if you just care that they flow together well, and that when people go to your timeline, nothing's competing, it's wonderful to be able to see that. Now, Planoly will do that as well, but it's not as user-friendly for me. So that's just a personal preference. Also, Later does auto posting, so I can say, here's my stuff, here's my video, just schedule it when it's time. I'm not worried about that. And it also will calculate the best times after you've been in it for a couple of weeks. It'll start pulling through what are the best times. Also, it has link in bio, so of course we all use the words. Go to the link in my bio. Later has a link in bio that allows you to attach a different URL to every single picture if you want to. So I don't have to have a Linktree list, which I love Linktree, don't get me wrong. But in here, I can say, here's my picture, and it'll ask what URL do you want to go with it. So when you pull it up, you can just click that picture and go to that place, which is a wonderful thing. Analytics, because nerd, and because I have to prove my value as a person who asks for money for such things. Also, later will allow you to track hashtags. So if I ask everyone to hashtag Elevation Academy, I can say, pay attention to this hashtag, go to a screen that shows me everybody who's done it, so if I want to repost it or whatever, I don't have to go searching for it. Love that. And more. Any questions about that? Yes.
Have you heard of Sked Social?
Yes.
What do you think about
I'm
that?
still in love with these two things.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they're so intuitive. And I think that though I know how to go find all these little things, if I can just not, because 14 Facebook accounts, 8 Instagram accounts, and a partridge in a pear tree, I don't have the mental capacity. And so now again, that's me having doing this for my life. When I didn't have that many, I still use these two because they're so intuitive. And so if you're like, I'm gonna make time to just do it myself, you need the thing that's going to just work. Those are the two that just work for me. Yes.
Do those apps manage all of those things? Like, can you use different social media, or is
Yeah,
it like
so-
one account?
CoSchedule does, I gave you a list of those. Later does Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and Twitter. But I just use it for Instagram. CoSchedule does pretty much everything. I just don't use their Instagram because I can't see it. Planoly does just Instagram, I think. Just and Facebook. Because looking at it, I was like, because I don't. Yeah. I don't think anybody does. Hootsuite does pretty much everything. And Buffer does pretty much everything. Hootsuite, Buffer, and CoSchedule are basically the same things, except CoSchedule's better. They're not paying me, they should. Actually, I'm paying them. Think about that. Commercial break, guys! If you too would like to use Later, which does have a free version, I pay for mine because that's my job. I am doing, I do what's called the I'll Do It Myself series. I did one on Canva last month. Wait, this is January this month. And I'm doing Later next. So if you would like to go through the 1-hour virtual workshop about Later, how to use it, all of that, I will be doing that. You can point your phone that way. If you want the Canva one, because everything you've seen today, including this presentation, is coming through Canva. Every graphic you've seen, every movement, every gift, everything, I did in Canva. If you would like to know how to do things like that, you can go and buy that. Boom, boom. All right, questions? There go all those URL codes. You can point away. All right, it makes it so much easier. Now, you had a question about boosting.
Promoting, boosting, yeah.
In Instagram.
Well, both. We're a nonprofit organization and we do Facebook and Instagram, which have very different audiences for us. And often I will promote and I'll do like $3 a day. And my husband said the other day, what if you did $40? Have you ever thought about, like really trying to promote? I don't know how to track the effectiveness of it. I don't know. I've heard a marketing firm tell us boost.
Boosting is great.
Goes past your algorithm or whatever.
So here's a thing to point out. There's a difference between running an ad and boosting a post. Right? So if I run an ad, I'm going to go into Instagram ads or Facebook ads, create this whole thing, decide all this stuff, where it's going to go, you can form, you can do all this stuff, and I'm going to push it out as an advertisement. Right? If I have a post I've already posted, Instagram or Facebook, so if you go and put $500 behind that, at some point you're repeating the same thing to the same people. So it may not take off that. Does that make sense? Because it's like, oh, I'm sure y'all go through this. If you've seen a Forge ad recently with me in it a bunch of times, that might be the case, right? I've seen it a bunch of times because I'm me. And I think I'd be looking for it. But if you start to see the same things over and over again from like someone is the exact same ad, that's why that's happening. Basically hitting a brick wall and repeating. It's like, okay, they gave me these parameters. I'm just going to keep going to these people. Eventually, it will run out of people. There aren't an infinite amount of people, right? So I would say boosting is great. I think it's fine to do $3 if you don't really know if it's a big deal. I wouldn't go from 3 to 40. I go from 3 to 10. and I would put $10, or I go from 3 to 40, but I have 4 different booths at $10 a piece at the same time. So if you're like, I have a very tight group of people, but I do have 4 interesting things, move them at the same time. And that might help people go, oh, that's that same place. Oh, this is the same one from the other one. Does that make sense? It's just a brand awareness thing. Does that make sense, everybody?
How long?
And you can
run 'em?
see which one's working better than the other.
Yeah, it'll show you insights.
Yeah.
Yes.
How long do you run them? A boost.
It depends, I guess, on what the purpose is.
Okay.
Because if the content is something that's not evergreen, like if it makes sense in a certain time frame, like if I were boosting something about Black History Month and it was running in March, I mean, Black History Month still matters in March, but I'm just saying it's not Black History Month at that point. Also, but if it's not, if it's something that people just genuinely like, they always see it somehow and like it, you can boost it over and over again forever. Any other questions, comments, concerns, emotional breakdowns? Yes, ma'am.
So I would assume that, Instagram Marketplace is gonna probably be, I guess most platforms you probably prefer over Facebook or something like that. So although I may not do a lot of things on Instagram, but I do it Facebook, it's just not really the same thing.
So the difference really, if I'm understanding, I know Facebook, I know y'all can't hear what she said because she's talking sexy. I think she's asking if you're already active on Facebook and you're not on Instagram,
As much.
and you're not on Instagram, what was the question after that? It was so sexy. I'm sorry. One more time.
But just the fact that you already knew that I don't really do much on Instagram, because people can follow you and all of that, although I would have, I just didn't know to do. So it's done now. What I'm saying is that I am a lot more active on Facebook. So would you suggest moving that activity to Instagram again?
No. You gotta know your audience, right? That's why one of my first assumptions was you know your audience is on Instagram. If they're not, don't worry about that. You need to be in the just alive place down there to post maybe once every however many times. And that's okay. Again, if that's not your jam, don't force it. Now, it's completely fine, especially with businesses and organizations, if you go and get the account on every platform, you can put in the bio, thanks for following us or liking our page. You'll probably find us on Instagram link. Nothing's wrong with that. Tell them where they can find you active if you know you're not going to be there that often. But that's a matter of knowing your audience. So look at the different, there's a million things on demographics out there. If the demographics don't make sense, then don't worry about it. Just be in motion, but don't worry about it. Yes, Ryan.
So, I'm terrible at that. It's not my skill set. I don't do it. So the question is, but I don't want, so from if you're targeting B2B versus, because I think of Facebook and I think of Instagram as
Personal.
consumer based. I'm trying to market a business.
Yes.
So do these same principles apply on the B2B space, or if not, how does that look different? And that may be a whole other hour.
I mean, everything could be a whole other hour in this world. But let me make sure I clarify your question. Are you asking if I am going to be on Instagram, does what I heard today apply to a B2B space? Or are you saying, does this stuff about Instagram apply like to LinkedIn?
Does the Instagram, Facebook approach apply in a B2B class?
It can. And so as a B2B company, so here's the thing, right? And this is what I try to remind people about business-to-business organizations. Yes, the company itself may not be on Instagram as a person, but their employees are. And if there is any angle you can take, like let's say, and I'll just give some random example. One of mine is not that random. One of my clients does like professional development and project management. And of course, they're B2B, they're trying to get corporations to get them to come in and do that kind of thing. Well, the people that might want to be developed or the people who need the help are probably on Instagram, right? So maybe I take the approach of in my list of types of content, I may decide to say, I'm going to put tips on career advancement on my Instagram. I'm going to post resources about, and I'm going to attract the individual's eye. So when they get to work, and that conversation comes up, they have something to feed off of, right? So it depends on if you can find the angle to talk to the person, then absolutely. Because though, Instagram is fun and it's cute, and I really, like to take it on vacation with me and stuff, I'm still a professional. Like when I see things that interest me, I still see conferences, I still see all that stuff in my feed, and I still interact with it. I may go out of the Jackie Jones Instagram into 1 degree to start commenting, but I still saw it, right? It just depends on what it is. But every business is made up of individuals. The question that you kind of have to figure out is, am I offering something where I can attract the individual and help that process along? Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Any other questions before I get put off the stage?
You got 5 minutes.
5 minutes. No, just 5 minutes. I have 3 of them. All right. No questions for real? I did so good.
I'll say, even if you don't use Later, their email that they send out is really good.
Yes, Later is full of information. They do their email marketing. Just tells you a bunch of stuff about Instagram all the time. It's one of the ways I stay up to date on Instagram changes because I don't want to have to go look for that stuff all the time. Later will just tell me. They'll go, hey, 5 things that changed about the algorithm last month. I'm like, something changed? So yeah, Jessica.
So I'm thinking about going over to Later.
Come on over.
I know, but is the transition hard from one platform to another?
No, because they all pretty much do the same thing. And that's just the case. They're all in the business of doing the exact same thing. The only difference is about the usability of it. Is that a word?
Yeah.
Don't tell me it's not. Okay.
It is.
That's the only difference. It's how comfortable it is, how easy it is to schedule, how quickly you can get that done. And that's really the only difference. So there may be something, because I know you use Planoly, there may be something that Planoly does that's in a certain kind of menu that maybe it's just not in that menu and Later, it's just in a different place. That's really all you're going to run into. But I promise you're going to love Later. Because I know you and I know it's going to be
Is Later, how much is
So Later is free.com to some extent. Look, there's always a free, just like there's a free Canva. And there is, I think if you have the just basic one, it's like $9.
Okay.
Yeah, it's nothing major. Listen, the way my bank account is set up, I will open 50 free accounts if I have to. But of course, just like with paid and free, you get more options, that kind of thing. Right now, as a business, I pay $69 a month for Later because I have 8 Instagram accounts on it, and I want all the features for all the accounts. So that costs me money, but that's business expense. Otherwise, you're talking $10. Yeah, nothing major. Well, I say nothing major, but I will question $10 if it's not for the right thing.
So that one, and I'll look into it, but the one that you have manages up to 8 accounts, or?
No, so I actually had to ask them to customize past 5 because they usually only love 5. So you get so many users, so many accounts per platform. So I can have in the basic $10 one, you can post to a Facebook, a Twitter, Instagram, but I need 8 Instagram ones. I could add 8 Facebooks and 8, but I just don't need it for that. So I had to ask them to charge me more money so I can do more.
Perfect.
And not have to get a bunch of accounts. Any other questions, comments, concerns, emotional breakdowns?
All right, so one of the things we always do is